So we traveled to their home 1,000 miles south of the border. These are the people of La Caja, a Mexican village of 100 families, 150 miles north of Mexico City. They are a friendly, outgoing people, and today is special because Lupe Sanchez is here. Lupe is an American citizen with roots in Mexico, head of the Arizona Farm Workers Union, and as such, the only shred of hope that people in dozens of Mexican villages like this one see for breaking a vicious cycle. Because in the next few weeks, virtually every able-bodied male in La Caja will make the grueling trek north to the United States for 9 months of work. They must, or their families will go hungry. Cancho Martinez is nearly 60 years old. His wife, Concepcion, knows why he must go north.
The basket of tortillas, which comprise the basic staple in their diet, has more than doubled in price for them in less than a year.
In this part of Mexico, a day's work, if they can find one, will bring about $2. It seems a paradox because these people have plenty of land. After the Mexican Revolution, land reform gave Mexican peasants hundreds of thousands of acres. Unfortunately, the land did not come with the money and know-how to make it productive.
Is it any good?
Yes, it's very, very good land. We've had it tested at the University of Arizona in Tucson. And all the testing we got back to us was that it was very good land to grow citrus, corn, all types of vegetables.
But it seldom rains, so these people have about 3,000 acres of rich land currently producing sunburned stubble. 3,000 acres directly adjacent to this land. It's owned by a wealthy farmer who can afford irrigation. Lupe Sanchez looks at those acres and sees a way to keep the thousands of illegal workers he represents right at home in Mexico. What villages like La Caja need is water.
We can grow our own crops like this, then no worker from this village will travel to the U.S. again.
Water for La Caja is one of dozens of projects Lupe Sanchez is sponsoring through his union. He takes advantage of the fact that until they have an alternative, these people must go to the United States for work. He uses their labor up north to finance their future down here. We'll show you how when we get to Arizona, which is where these 13 people are headed this day. The group includes a young woman, newly married and pregnant, her husband and her father. They are too macho to admit fear, but there is fear. This, for instance, is a memento from an earlier crossing, shut off by a marauding bandit. And just the week before, 3 men from another village got lost in the desert trying to cross into the United States, ran out of water, and died. But hunger is a powerful incentive, especially when your family is afflicted. These men are heroes, adventurers, not just to their own families, but to the whole village. Lupe, incidentally, has no part in any illegal border crossing. He'll fly north, but he is the father confessor on either end of the operation. He calms the village women, who are concerned that all that money up north might corrupt their men with whiskey and other women. Lupe is especially concerned with the children. He counsels them that education and a profession are a better life than following their fathers north.
Tell them exactly what their fathers are going through, the kind of hard work they're doing, being chased by the Border Patrol, being arrested and being in jail, and just the kind of suffering that they go through.
The workers will ride by bus more than 1,000 miles to a jump-off spot just south of the Mexican-Arizona border. We found them there 2 days later, hiding in a ditch waiting for dark. About all they take with them are the clothes on their back and a plastic milk jug filled with putrid water from the ditch. Often a smuggler will pick them up on the Mexican side and guide them across the 35 miles of desert they face. But Dolores, who will lead the group, has crossed 13 times before, so he can save them that expense. He has, however, called a smuggler on the American side, who was supposed to pick them up the following night and drive them the final 150 miles to the orchards near Phoenix. Then it was time. The light we used for filming was no concern, they said, because it could not be seen outside the gully where we crossed the border. And in any case, their principal fear was not getting caught by the U.S. Border Patrol. That danger comes down the trail. Right now, they're worried about Mexican bandits, criminals who know these people are unarmed and carrying at least $150 apiece to pay off the American smuggler. It was quite a large group, 13 illegals plus the 2020 crew. Big enough to discourage the bandits, and indeed there were no encounters that first night. But the numbers were a problem when the sun came up. This many people leave too many tracks. The concern by sunrise had become the United States Border Patrol, a tough professional outfit equipped with airplanes, helicopters, motorcycles, and expert trackers on horseback. To fool the hunters, they were instructed to walk single file, hoping that tracks on top of tracks would disguise the actual number of people in the group. Bandits and Border Patrol aside, there are also non-human elements they fear. Rattlesnakes have killed men on treks like this one. And there are tarantulas. At the peak of the day, the temperature pushed 100 degrees, and the heat was intensified by sheer exhaustion. There was an attempt at sleep, camouflaged in fear of the Border Patrol, never getting more than a nervous nap. By mid-afternoon, they were moving again. Dolores was still concerned about the size of the group.
Más fácil, porque siendo muchos, no podemos escondernos bien.
Okay, so he's saying that we're gonna break into two groups. One group of 6, the other of 7, in case the Immigration Service airplane, surveillance airplane comes over.
One guy said, from here on, if we make it, it's luck. By dusk of the second night, they should have been at their pickup point, near a ranch on an Indian reservation. But there was a mix-up, some confusion. They had missed by 8 miles. When the sun set, the Arizona desert temperatures plunged to 40 degrees. More chilling was the creeping realization that we were lost. Even worse for the Mexicans, unbeknownst to them or us, the Border Patrol knew about the group. They had been tracking them ever since they crossed the border, and they were waiting for daybreak. It was a tense and awkward moment for the Border Patrol and for those of us with 2020. They were, of course, merely doing their jobs. We had American passports, but they knew we had not gone alone into the desert.
What about the rest of the group? What group? The aliens.
We were there to observe and record. We felt it was not our job to help the Border Patrol, just as we had not helped the Mexicans in their crossing. As it turned out, Dolores and 5 others escaped the net and finally made it through. 7 others did not.
If people are starving in Mexico, they're going to come across, and they'll continue to come across as long as that problem exists. I'm sure that by tomorrow morning, those people that were caught will be here in this orchard.
He was off by 1 day, and in retrospect, how ironic it was that the arrested Mexicans were put through a revolving door. Because all they did once across the border was refill their water jugs, wait until dark. And 2 days later, all 13 of them were in an orchard near Phoenix. They began making money for their families and for that water project back in La Caja. It's grueling labor. A good worker will pick and haul over 100 bags every day, 45 pounds each trip. If the worker is unionized, it's worth 50 cents a bag. If he's not union, he'll make far less, and he can't expect a visit from a labor leader called Lupe Sanchez. The Arizona farm workers claim 10,000 members in 4 states, most of them Mexicans and working illegally. Lupe's people spend half their time dodging the Border Patrol, and an American has to wonder. They are foreigners, and they're taking American jobs.
As it is now, with the kind of wages they're paying, no citizen is willing to come out and work in these particular jobs.
So your position is that U.S. citizens simply will not take these jobs for the money
That is being offered. That is correct. If these particular growers were forced to pay, $7, $8 an hour, they would be able to get citizens.
And it's Lupe's position that his illegal Mexicans, organized through his union, force wages up to where Americans will take these jobs. And in the process, the Mexicans are financing projects in Mexico so that in the future, they won't have to leave home. Lupe says that in every contract he signs, along with higher wages, the grower must pay 10 cents for every man-hour worked into a fund for projects like an irrigation system in Caja. Also, on behalf of those projects, this field organizer has tracked dust into some of the highest political and financial offices in North America. Last month, it was a private meeting with the president of Mexico to straighten out some Mexican bureaucratic red tape. And just yesterday, he was in Washington negotiating with international bankers over low-cost loans for his Mexican projects.
That part of the bill be amended.
He also had a meeting with people who lobby on behalf of migrant workers, and he's a familiar face on Capitol Hill. In short, Lupe seems a master at getting things done, as you would see today if you were back in La Caja.
Once we drilled 9 wells in this village, nobody from this village will have a need to migrate anywhere.
As you might imagine, Lupe is at least the godfather to these people. And they pay him back the only way they can. A feast a la La Caja.
Palomita que vuelas de noche, no te vayas enredar.
Lupe is the first to admit his program is dwarfed by the size of the problem. It is not the cure-all for poverty in rural Mexico, or for illegal immigration into the United States. But he does have projects similar to this one in at least 30 other villages. And at least some people who never dared to hope, finally see some hope.